Have I told you about the app that we're launching in May? It's an AI powered self discovery coach, and the feedback that we're getting has been crazy. Let me give you some. It literally felt like I was talking to a therapist. I loved it. Someone even shared an example of how they used it. So I told the app I don't like confrontation, and that's why I often don't know how to talk to others about how I feel because I don't like arguing. I loved how it literally walked me through how I can start a conversation without feeling like it was going to be a confrontation. Someone else. Love, love, love it. Congrats again. This is going to be great. It launches in May, and I couldn't be more hyped for you to use it. If you haven't already and you want to be the first one to be able to use this, sign up for the app launch waitlist, which is in the show notes, or you can visit our website at plural.com.
They want to be able to tell the stories that's happening within our communities, which is something that's important because a lot of the times when you look online, you're only feeding BS that's going on within our community.
And that shifts your perception on
that shifts your perception, and that feeds into the negativity.
How you see neighborhood,
exactly. If you're not putting the good that's going on, how many good stuff is happening within our hood? I took kids to the New York Stock Exchange. I'm taking kids from the hood into the New York Stock Exchange. You understand? Teaching them about trades and things of that nature as I'm learning it, because I'm learning it now in my 30s. I listen to like Earn Your Leisure and things like that. You know what I mean? Like I'm listening to different podcasts and different platforms that teaching me about different things. So I grew up in the Northeast Bronx, Uptown is what we call it. I'm from the Valley. That's the area in my neighborhood. It's pretty much on the outside of the confines of Co-op City. That's a very, very popular area that people know about in the Bronx. Born and raised in that area. Grew up in with an older sister, younger brother.
So you're middle?
Yeah, I'm the middle child.
Okay. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I'm the middle child.
What does that mean? Like, how did it feel to be a middle child?
It doesn't feel anywhere. I didn't feel no different from my older sister or younger brother. I felt like I got to see a lot, from different perspectives because, my older sister was more like a mother figure, to me. And then I had the perspective of being an older brother to my younger brother, which was, a different perspective because our father wasn't around because he got locked up, growing up. My father used to hustle in the area that I lived around, and he got deported because he's from Jamaica. Gotcha. So my mother grew up
what age was that?
I want to say this was in the early 90s. So I want to say I was about 7 years old.
So fairly young.
Fairly young age. My oldest daughter, who's right here, she's 8. She's gonna be 9 this year.
Do you remember that moment?
Yes, vividly.
Even at that age.
Yeah. So I remember that day actually. My father used to hustle. He was released from jail, 2 strikes, he was good. He was doing exactly what he was supposed to do. There was actually a person that lived on the block that we lived on that was harassing my family. And she harassed my older sister when we were on the bus coming from home one day. My father went to confront her and let her know, like, listen, please don't, harass my children. And my older sister is not my father's biological child. My father was her stepfather. So my father just made sure that she was safe because she was extremely scared because this was an older woman. My mother was at work, so because of the 3rd strike and the rules at that time, the laws at that time, my father had an encounter with police because the lady called the police. Then they locked my father up. He was then deported back to Jamaica, and he could never come back over here again. He's over there up to right now. Actually, his birthday was yesterday. He's turned 66, so he's been over there for the last, I want to say, over 25 years. 25 to 30 years over there. So yeah.
Do you ever go?
I went, the last time I went was in 17. I think my daughter was about 2 years old, my oldest daughter. I seen him. We had a very, very, heart to heart because my mother never took us when we were younger. She didn't want to go back to Jamaica when we were younger. But she used to always take us to visit him. So growing up, I used to always think I was going to jail. So I was always like into like prison shows, like drug, hotels, movies like New Jack City, Paid in Full.
Yeah. I mean, those are classics.
Those are classics, but I was really like into that. I was always into like The Wire, stuff like that. Like, you're really into those.
But why were you into them?
because I wanted to know what my father was thinking at during that time. Like,
So you saw like certain characters, like you saw him in certain characters potentially.
well, potentially, but more realistically, like, yo, why did he want to go that route? You know what I mean? Because essentially, it was really the 3 strikes that led him up to not being here no more. So why did he choose that route? And I didn't get the opportunity of knowing that because I'm a child at that time. We didn't get that man-to-man conversation, but we have that up to today. And he just makes mistakes, just as me as being a man, because technically he was this age right now when the last time he was arrested, and he made a mistake. You know what I mean? Yeah. So not a mistake. He made a decision that he had to deal with, which essentially, and the laws at that time, because frankly, what my father was arrested with at that time wouldn't be considered a deportable offense today. So it's like the laws are different now today. So it's
we're down the street where there's like literally recreational marijuana being sold legally
from individuals that have been negatively affected by the criminal justice system.
Right. Shout out to Conbud.
So shout out to Conbud. We were just there, grand opening this weekend. Very dope. Go support them.
Yeah.
But that's, so you see what happens.
But that's a really interesting thing. Because I remember we've all made mistakes or decisions rather. Yeah. And I look back at them and I'm just like, oh, I just didn't get caught.
Yeah.
You feel me? Yeah. Like this is like a dumb story, but I remember in college, like I was walking back from a club and my boy was like opening up cars because he was drunk, right? And I'll probably take this out, but how you
doing? Good?
One car actually opened up, and we ended up just like, there was like a Snapple, case of Snapples in the back, and we just ended up taking it and just like walking home. So we woke up the next day and we was like, what the fuck, why is this here? But like, I could have been arrested for that, and my whole life could have changed. Yeah.
Because you're in college, and I'm pretty sure you went away, possibly, right?
I went away to school, just being dumb, all the freedom, all that type of shit,
Person of color, away. Doing something, and possibly you went away somewhere that you're not, accustomed to, and people are not accustomed to you being there. Could have went left.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's, it's decisions you make at young ages because you're doing things to, I guess, please people around you at that time. You're doing cool, things, trying to look cool. And then you look back and like, why did I do that? You know what I mean? Like my father looks back at a lot of decisions he made back in the past, and he's like, I wish I could really be there with my family right now. That really what matters. Yeah. And that's why today, like a big component of, my character is me being a father. And I really cherish that because, it's challenging too, because when you think about being a father, actually I'm working on a children's book right now.
Nice.
The Fatherless Father, which I'm trying to drop this year.
Oh, that's dope.
Because I think like a lot of, people in life don't have father figures in their lives.
I grew up with my father financially, but not like physically. I don't have a relationship.
And the concept, and I hear that a lot. And I hear that a lot because you hear I hear people that have fathers in their lives, but a lot of the times they feel like they had a father figure because as fathers, we feel like, the only thing we're supposed to do is contribute because it's been like embedded in our minds that we have to be providers.
Right.
Like we're not taught emotional intelligence. We have to make sure, like one of the main components when I had my son is I read this book called Battle Cry by Jason Wilson, where it was teaching you that a lot of times men, we grow up to be more masculine men instead of comprehensive men, where we're able to deal with emotions. That's why you see a lot of the times when men get older, they're not able to deal with their emotions. Yeah. So when we get angry, you see a lot of the times men lash out, and or they don't know how to deal with that, or opposed to when you're emotionally intelligent, you know how to compose yourself when you're going through adversity. And that, especially through our community, we go through a lot of adversity.
Emotional intelligence is so important. That's what I'm really trying to teach people, and it's over for your career, but also in dating. I know you're married, but I'm on dating apps, so what's interesting is that people on dating apps, they put up their green flags on what they're looking for, and all the women that I see, they always put their green flags of they're looking for someone that's emotionally intelligent as well. Yeah. So even dating, it's really important.
And then that goes down to what we do in the schools now today. We trying to teach young men. I work with a lot of young men within my district. and I'm trying to expose them to different things that I wasn't exposed to growing up, like different career paths, but also different situations that they have to think about. A dope exercise I do with a lot of young men is I tell them to get a piece of paper. I get them 10 topics. I get them popular topics. Like I'll say Ice Spice.
Okay.
I'll say the war that's going on in Israel.
Sure.
I'll say, and I'll let them know like say the first thing on your mind. I say education, school system.
Right.
I'll say your girl.
Right.
And they'll say the first thing, like I'll say Ice Spice, they'll say gat. Everyone, the kids, that's their thing right now. They say gat.
Yeah.
Referring to, our body.
Yeah.
And then they'll say like the war that's going on, and they'll all put their perceptions of it, what's going on. They'll say like murder, or they'll say political backings, or whatever they'll say regarding it. And then you're looking at what they're saying, and then we'll go through it, and I'm like, all right. A lot of the times, you see how I made you guys write it out, and you guys had to think about writing it out and really like putting it pen to pad. A lot of the things that's happening now is we have a device right here called a phone.
Right.
Where you're not writing things out. And a lot of times when I think about it, a lot of times we are really getting information at a rapid speed. And we're not realizing that. We're not prepared for what's really happening right now with the human mindset. You understand? Where we're learning about things and things are happening at a rapid speed. We're getting information faster. A lot of the times when my mother was growing up, she would get information when she goes home and watch Channel 7 News.
Right,
You're getting information right then and there. Like it's hitting your phone, everything's coming to you, and we're responding.
Yeah.
We're putting our responses right there. And on top of that, if you're giving this to our kids, our people in our community, young boys, young girls, you're giving them this device. They're online doing whatever they want to do online. Later on in life, when they get to our age, what we just talked about, stupid stuff that we used to do back in the day. Yeah. Kids are recording themselves doing these things. You understand? But this is not, their mind is still developed because we are two young men right here that are doing great things. You understand? You're doing journalism, which I just literally had a rally last week in partnership with the caucus that I represent and the New York City Journalism Coalition, where they're actually pushing for more high school students to get journalist privileges within their school system because they want to be able to tell the stories that's happening within our communities, which is something that's important because a lot of the times when you look online, you're only feeded BS that's going on within our communities.
And that shifts your perception on
that
how you
shifts
see
your
things.
perception, and that feeds into the
people,
negativity.
How you see the neighborhoods, how you see everything. Yeah.
If you're not putting the good that's going on, how many good stuff is happening within our hood? I took kids to the New York Stock Exchange. I'm taking kids from the hood into the New York Stock Exchange. You understand? Teaching them about trades and things of that nature as I'm learning, because I'm learning it now in my 30s. I listen to like Earn Your Leisure and things like that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I'm listening to different podcasts and different platforms that teaching me about different things.
Is that because you feel like you didn't get some of that representation when you were growing up?
No. And the representation a lot of times you gain growing up is not representation that you could relate to. Because a key thing, and I always get this this concept from a brother in my neighborhood, Sherman Brown. He's a founder of Aim High Empowerment. He said you gotta connect before you can correct. You know what I mean? A lot of times when
tell me more. What does that mean?
When you connect with someone, like the first thing you want to do when we want to be a mentor to somebody, we want to correct them. So we're coming to them like superior with letting them know like, hey, I need you to do this, you're doing this. They're hearing that on a constant day. So it's like somebody talking down to them, a person with authority. Now, when I say connect, I'm not telling you to be online doing ridiculous things, acting like a child, acting like you're not mature, but you have to connect with a person, understand where that person's coming from.
Like build a relationship.
Build a relationship with that person to understand, why does this person feel this way? Why is this person acting this way? Why does this person have this perception? If you don't have that with that person, if there's no context, we don't take the time to get a lot of context within things. So you can get more understanding.
I think that goes back to the emotional intelligence piece too. It's kind of like sometimes we don't even know how to even approach that conversation to even start to understand.
Yeah.
You mentioned something earlier though too about like representation and seeing certain career paths growing up, right? Like when you were thinking career-wise early on, I'm sure you wasn't thinking like politicians, right?
Never.
Like what were you thinking? What did you want to go into?
My mother is Jamaican, man. My mother's Jamaican. She is strict. My mother was like, "You gonna be a doctor or a lawyer?" So you know, those are
that's a very like immigrant out
there. Yeah, those are the only two prestigious positions or career paths that you know you can make a lot of money as a child. When I was growing up, my mother sent me to Catholic school growing up. I never went to.
Where'd you go?
I went to Immaculate Conception.
Okay.
I went to Our Lady of Grace for 8th grade.
Okay.
And then I went to Mount St. Michael Academy.
Oh, days.
You went to Hayes?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I'm
out here. So I went to Mount. Yeah. So when she always sent me to Catholic school, right? So she had that perception like, I'm investing in you, I want you to be a lawyer. So I went to SUNY College in West Bay because at that time, it's a funny story in my SATs. I had to take my retake my SATs. And because I had to retake my SATs, I couldn't apply to schools I wanted to get into because I wanted to go to Binghamton University at that time.
Okay.
I applied to Binghamton and it was too late, so I didn't get in. So I went to SUNY College in Westbury, which if I didn't go to SUNY College in Westbury, I don't think I would have been here where I am today. Wow. So that's why I say things happen for a reason.
Oh, firm believer. Yeah.
So when I went to SUNY College in Westbury, they didn't have a law department. The only closest thing they had was politics, economics, and society, and they had English. So when I was thinking about it, I was like, all right, let me do politics, economics, society. I became the senator of that department. We were able to change it to politics, economics, and law. So I'm like, all right, cool. We have a law department because there was other students there that wanted a law degree, but there was no law degree because you want that before you go into law school. Gotcha. I'm talking to one of the older brothers, and he was actually a journalist at that time.
Okay.
Jonathan Hicks. He was a journalist for New York Times, very popular journalist. And he was like, yo, what are you doing? Like, what's after this? So people, you know, my frat brothers, we young.
Yeah.
Yo, come on, man, let's go party, man.
Yeah.
You told me that.
Of
Oh,
course.
this and that.
Of course.
They're like, I'm chatting with him like, yo, he's talking that stuff. So he's like, yo, what you want to do? We in the corner talking for like 45 minutes. He's like talking like, yo, what are you doing with your life, this and that. And I told him like, yo, I'm going Lord, this and that. So we just chatting. Because at that time, I was always a public servant. I was always a hard worker.
What you mean like you was a public servant? In college?
My first job was working at the library.
In college?
Ever in life. My first job.
Just like around your neighborhood?
Yeah, I'm gonna go through my job things. Why I call myself a professional public servant.
Okay.
So, my first job ever when I was 14 years old, when I started at Mount St. Michael, I did summer youth and I started working at the library.
Oh, I did summer youth too. Yeah.
I worked in every single library in my district. So it turns around a full circle because I'm now the elected official, councilman in my area, and I'm able to invest back in my library. I just gave $14 million to Edenwald Library to renovate. Yeah, so
why did you want? Was that just like an opportunity, or you were really into books?
So I worked. It was an opportunity at that time, but I actually liked working at the library because the library at that time you didn't realize was an incubator. Public spaces like the parks, libraries, you know, schools are like incubators for people in the community like to get together.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So you in the library, you work and you get to meet different people in the community. People.
That's my co-working space right now.
You understand? So like it's our first like creative space until we're like got into like coffee shops, things of that nature. Right. It was like a real creative space. That's why you see the nature libraries changing right now. So I worked in the library for the trajectory of my high school career until I got fired. The reason I got fired
It's okay.
No, I'll tell you why I got fired because it's funny because you can't get fired for that today. I got fired because I used to extend the time for people in their books. Can you remember they used to give a fine out to people?
Right,
a lot of people couldn't pay that back in the day.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like a lot of people needed their books. You know what I mean? They was using their books, they was utilizing them. So I used to extend it like, yo, all right, man, I got you. You don't got to pay that little $1.30. You know this.
Right. You a public servant to a fault.
So I did that. They let me go. You can't. They don't even do that today. Anyways,
you can just take it as long as you want.
So after that, I started working in retail. But when I got into college, I worked in retail my life. So I was a public servant. I worked in retail my life. I worked at Lady Foot-Locker. I worked at Ben Sherman. I worked at Club Monaco. I worked at.
Oh damn! Okay.
I worked at Kenneth Cole.
Okay.
That was my last retail job, Kenneth Cole. But then when I got to college, I was a RA, a resident assistant. So I had to be pretty much the head person that ran a wing of other college students.
Right.
That's why I said I was a public servant. I used to do programs for them. I used to help them out. They was going through little situations in school, you know, talking to them, giving them a shoulder to lean on. When I got in my frat, I was the pole mark, the president of the chapter. So I used to do all the professional, connect with Calvin Butts, God rest his soul, who was the president of SUNY Westbury at that time. And then when I met my frat brother in 2008, he told me, he was like, hey, you into law, but you have politics, economics, law, try politics. I'm like, all right, whatever.
Told you to drop out?
No, he told me to try politics.
Oh, try politics.
It was politics, economics, and law.
Like
that was my degree.
But he was saying like as a career?
Yeah, he's like, yo, look into politics. So I'm like, all right, cool, I'll think about it.
Yeah, but what was your perception of politics at the time?
I didn't have any perception. My first time I voted was that year because I voted for Barack Obama because I was eligible to vote. I was 18. Because I was eligible to vote that year. So I was the first time I ever voted in politics. So I voted that year, and I didn't really have a perception because all the politicians I knew was like white.
Right.
Old,
that's
white. You know
But
what
that's
I mean?
your
Like,
perception, though.
that was like my perception. Like
Right.
all white dudes in like suits. You know what I mean? That was my
Right.
perception. I was a kid at that time. I wasn't into politics.
Yeah.
So this is why I got into it. This is the funny part. He once Friday, no, a Thursday or Wednesday, he hit me up. He's like, "Okay, what are you doing on Friday?"
Yeah.
He's like, "I want you to come with me at lunch." I didn't want to come. Swimming Westbury is like 45 minutes from here. It's not that
Okay.
far from my hood. You know what I mean? So I could have drove back and I had a car at that time. And then Fridays is after Thursdays, when Thursdays is like Thirsty Thursdays in college. You don't want to go anywhere on Thursdays. You feel me?
And y'all gonna be talking careers and shit.
I'm talking about little careers
you
on
trying to
Friday
pregame.
morning, you feel me? Like Friday, I want to chill. So I'm like, yo, cool. I got to shake it easy on Thursday. I pull up. I come in. He tells me to meet him for lunch at a place in my neighborhood in the Valley where I'm from.
Okay.
I come to the Valley. Is this dude, two dudes at the table, Rubén Díaz Jr. and Carl Heastie, right?
Okay.
So Rubén Díaz Jr. and Carl Heastie, they're both assembly members at that time. So they were talking at the table. I'm the kid at the table at the restaurant eating. Best red velvet cake I ever had in my life. The restaurant closed down. Best red velvet cake I ever had in my life. So I'm at the table eating, listening to them. These dudes are cool as hell. Like just regular cats talking, Tim's on, the group just talking. I'm like, yo, these dudes is cool, right? So I'm like, cool. The conversation was dope. At that time, Rubén was thinking about running for borough president, which he did and won. And Carl was thinking about running for chair of the Democratic County Party, which he did, won. And now he's a speaker of the assembly. He's he's the most powerful black man in New York State. And he's top 3 most powerful people in New York State, period. So they were thinking about doing their career paths at that time. And I'm just a kid at the table chilling. So after that,
But that started to shift your perception around like
politics, like, yo, they cool. Cool. Between that and Barack Obama, I was like, yo, all right, cool. Black men of color, Rubén was Hispanic. I was like, men of color, all right, I could see myself. I then was like, all right, cool. I started, Jonathan Hicks got me an internship in Carl's office. I got the internship in Carl's office. I started as an intern, constituent liaison.
doing what? What did you do as an intern?
Intern, what I would do is I'll be in the office. I used to do the graduation certificates for all the schools in the district. So whenever the kids would graduate, I'd do certificates for them.
And this was after college?
No, this was during college. I graduated in 2010.
Whoa.
So I would go back, because I used to work a lot. I used to do like 3 jobs, bro. I used to work as a camp counselor.
You really living up to that Jamaican stereotype.
Yeah, man. I used to be a camp counselor. I used to work in retail. Cause at that time, I was working for Club Monaco at that time. Club Monaco accounted for one of them at that time. Sure. And then I was working with Carl as an intern. So
what was your first day fit at that office? You got a suit, khakis, club? What you
I was chill, man. I was like probably like khakis, a button up or something like that. I was like real chill, you know what I mean? Like, and I'll get into that too, because that was like something where I had like imposter syndrome. In this position right now, that's why I like to be like this right now. I'm really comfortable in my skin being like this right now. But, you know, just being there, went from an intern, just doing regular, like, around the office stuff, constituent liaison, really listening to people's issues. So notice, Carl's office is 1 block away from the library I started working at. The same people that were coming in Carl's office were the same people I saw in the library. Remember, I went away for school for 5 years. So these people are now older now, and I'm looking at things that they went through in life. So they come in Carl's office. Remember, in the library, they come in and saying like, hey, I want books, I want this, I want to use the computer. When you come to Carl's office, I have housing issues. I'm having issues with the education system. I'm having issues with immigration. That was a big issue back in the day when I was working in Carl's office. You're hearing all these issues of people in your neighborhood, you're like, yo, what's going on? Like,
yeah, because you see people in the library, you're just like, oh, they good, they chilling, they living life. It's kind of like you start seeing. Yeah, I mean, you start seeing the problems. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you like, yo, what's really going on, man? And like, that really got me in tune with government. So I'm there, so I started working.
Why? Because you wanted to solve?
Yeah, I wanted to
some
help
of those
people.
things?
I just wanted to help people.
Right.
That was like the biggest thing in currency with me. I wanted to help people. You know what I mean? And at the same time, it was a good, stable job with the state. And I was like, yo, this is a good job after. And one thing, the scariest part about graduating college that no one talks about is getting an occupation that does not fit with the degree that you just invested in for so long.
Which is most people.
Which is majority of the people that go to college. Yeah. So if you get an occupation with a degree that you did not invest in, it's like, did I waste my time? Could I have got a degree in the profession I'm in now? So I could have been more proficient? Like, what could I have done? And that's something a lot of people don't talk about. And that's something that was on the back of my mind. And also at that time, I was seeing people that graduated that was coming back on campus. Like, I was like, oh, I don't want to be those individuals that graduated and I'm like still living here, coming back on campus. Like, that's scary for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I wanted to make sure. So
I studied economics, and most of my career has been sales and tech.
That's kind of economics though. Sales.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean
maybe.
It fits. It fits in talking about the economy. You're talking about how to keep the economy moving, sales, keep the economy moving.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, it fits.
Yeah, I guess.
It fits. But you have people that do a communication that works in the healthcare system now.
Sure.
You understand that are like doing like medical stuff.
Yeah.
Instead of being like telecommunications or health communications within the health system. You understand? It's like, that's a big fear that people have, and this fear I have. So when I graduated and I got the job with Carl, I'm like, all right, I started seeing the problem at constituent liaison. I then became an office manager. And before I became an office manager, I'm like, yo, do I really want to work here? Because at that time, I'm thinking about making money now. I'm getting older. I'm like, all right, I want to make some money. I want a family. I want to make sure I'm able to take care of my family. At that time, I'm making like $34,000.
Sure.
It wasn't a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I was only getting like a percentage of an increase. And I was like, if this keeps going, by the time I'm in my 45, I'm probably making like $48,000. And that's not going to be it. You know what I mean? So I wanted to go into like lobbying at that time, because at that time in the field, they were considered the consultants, the people that make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Still now.
Still make a lot of money.
Then it's a purposeful job, because then I could consult for organizations I really believe in, and I could still make money at the same time. Because
but was that difficult? Because like, did you feel kind of like a sellout, like chasing money versus being a public servant? Not that they can't be both.
No, because at that time I felt like you could do both. Because at that time, and remember, you're a consultant, you could consult for organizations you believe in.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? You don't have to consult for organizations you don't believe in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you built that relationship with elected officials, like, yeah, I'm bringing this program to you because they actually do the work, and they're good. And the program, of course, is going to compensate you at a fair rate. So everything works out fairly. You know what I mean? You can make good money, and you're actually putting the work for them.
But that's the shit, again, going back to like, you know, journalists or like people just telling stories in general. Because like a lot of people have that perception of like lobbyists, but that's just what we've been trained to think about it. Meanwhile, there's a lot of lobbyists that work for causes that they actually believe in.
There's so many young professionals and young people that I came in government. The dude I just gave a dab to, he's a consultant now. And he was a chief of staff for assembly member in the state. And he's a consultant now. He's doing things for good organizations.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But those stories aren't...
You never hear about those stories.
Right.
You only hear about the negative stories. There's always good. The same way there's good elected officials out there.
Right.
There's good police officers out there. There's good in
There's
everything.
good everything, yeah.
And out there, there's also bad in everything. We only talk about the negative out there because that's what sells.
That's what clicks.
And
That's what people click.
exactly.
Yeah.
So Carl says to me, he's like, yo, I think you should co-run for office. I think you could actually lead a community. He said those words to me in 2014. When he said those words to me in 2014, my mindset shifted. Remember, I grew up with a mindset I'm going to jail in my life, because that's all I said. Going to visit your father as a young mindset, as a teenager, as a preteen. This is what I'm seeing on a daily basis. Young black men of color in jail.
Yeah.
I'm seeing this is a trajectory of me growing up, and this is what I'm going to be. So when he said that to me, it was so empowering, because as men, we don't talk about how much we want affirmation from our peers, from other men. Why do you think growing up you always did something dumb because you're trying to please your boys?
Yeah.
No matter if you're trying to get all the women around, the girls around, no matter if you try to do something stupid or try to do something like masculine, you always try to please your boys because you want that affirmation. Yeah. So when I got that positive affirmation, that's why I try my time right now, I try to get so much positive affirmation. So much, because I'm trying to enhance somebody. I'm trying to help elevate someone. When he
one
did
example
that to me,
that I think about is like in Catholic school. I don't know if like at Mount, y'all probably had like dress down days.
Oh.
I didn't wear it. There was no women around. I wore the fit, and like it's just like, oh, you kill it, yo, them kids, yo, that fit. Like that was all for like male validation.
Yeah, so your
which is
boys
hilarious.
like, yo, he's fly.
Yeah,
man. He's fly. You see how he pull up on campus and he dressed down there? I used to always do that.
It's hilarious.
It's really hilarious. And you really think about it today, like the positive affirmation you get from people. And when I got that from him, it empowered me. I went back to school and got my master's in 2017 in a year. I went to MCNY.
Wait, so you went straight to empowerment? You weren't like, nah, you bugging. Like, I'm gonna be this.
I went straight to empowerment. I went
just
to
because
study.
you admired him and you were just like, if he's saying it, that means I can do
because
it.
I really respected him. And I still do today. That's my big brother. That's my mentor. One of my mentors. Him and a few other dudes, that's my mentors. That's one of my mentors. I respect him. So if he's saying something to me, I really listen to what he's saying. Do we have disagreements? Yeah, that's why I went to go into the comfortable of my skin. I remember when I was running for office, he was like, yo, Kev, you gotta, switch it up now, man. You gotta be like the elected official and have a suit on. And he said that. At that time, I was kind of upset. He said to me, I'm like, yo, Carl, you know me, man. You know it don't matter what I got on. I'm still giving that to my community. But I understood why he said that. Because when I started getting in the field, I realized people weren't giving me the respect because they never saw me carry myself as an elected official. Because a lot of times I carry myself like this because I'm relatable. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what I got on. It doesn't matter how I'm giving work. But then I'm balanced.
Wait, but what do you mean you weren't getting the respect? Was that like a story you were telling yourself, or you sort of like received those signals?
If I walk in City Hall and I don't have on a full suit, I get stopped at the gate. And I'm an elected official. There's only 51 council members.
Right, like they know who you are.
At that time, and when it was happening, there's 4 black men now. There was only 3 black men.
Right.
One of them was Charles Barron, who is a black man that's been around for a long period of time, and the other one is way young. He's Chio Say. There's no way you can't remember. There's 3 black men that work here. And he's the one that looks like this.
But are there?
That's just one example.
But are there rules for some of those things, or is it just like an unspoken?
No, it's like an unspoken rule. When you think of a elected official, you always think of somebody that's very, traditional on how they look. A lot of times, like even if you see like now where elected officials is changing that trajectory, you see more elected officials being more comfortable of being themselves and being represented what they are. You understand? Like you're seeing elected officials that are embracing their hip hop culture.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's why I really gravitated to Carl and Rubén. They embrace hip hop culture, and that's how I grew up. You know what I'm saying? When we didn't have men in our lives giving us the affirmation or older mentors, where did we get a lot of our advice from?
Like music, movies,
media, entertainment. Like that's where we were kind of gravitating to. So they embrace that culture, and they know how much it meant to me. You know what I'm saying?
So I mean, also too, like your mentors, just like your family, like they give us that advice because they're trying to protect us.
Correct.
Like back in their day, they've received the racism, the sexism, whatever it is, the microaggressions, whatever you want to call it. So they're just like, listen, like I don't want you to go through the same thing I went through.
And that's what it was.
And let me, yeah. So yeah. They're trying to protect us, and I get it. You gotta have empathy.
That's what it was. Like Carl's been in the game for so long. He's been in the game for over 2 decades. So he's seen like what happens to elected officials when they come in. So he's always given that perception to me, and that's why it comes from a place of protection. And at that time, I didn't realize that at that time. But like I said, he's my mentor. I listen to him. Of course we have our disagreements about things like anybody in your life, but he's somebody I really, really listen to.
So did you start sort of like changing who you are a little bit to try to fit in?
I started monitoring, balancing how I deliver myself.
Tell me more. Wait, so deliver like aesthetically, but also like verbally?
Verbally, how I present myself online. Because at the same time, I hold this position, I am in a place of leadership where people view me in my community as being a leader.
Yeah.
Young people view me as being a leader. So I have to be very mindful about what I'm putting out there. The same way as being a father, you have to be very mindful. It's the same thing like I may have a drink of alcohol. You know what I mean? Like I may want to have a couple of Hennessy or something like that.
Yeah.
But I want to sit down in front of my kids all day. You know what I mean? Like you might not want to do that.
Yo, isn't that crazy though? Like if you're having a drink and you like posting a picture online, even the idea of having a Hennessy bottle around is like, oh, like he doesn't drink this brand of cognac. He drinks Hennessy. We have a certain perception of him. Isn't that crazy? It's like that little bit of detail.
Or even like me, I went to college, but I'm a cannabis supporter. Sure. I utilize cannabis. I utilize marijuana. It's not like I'm going to be around in my community putting them online. I'm doing that because at the same time, I have young people that are following me. And I know that their mindset, they can't gravitate to that now. That's a huge problem that we have in our community. We have young people who are in high school that are literally smoking weed before they go to school, smoking weed in school. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You can't be doing that at a young age. You know what I mean? Your mind's still developing. You still have to develop organs. You still have to develop different things before you go into that. So when I say how I deliver myself, when you say being your true, authentic self, I can be my true, authentic self, but I have to also be mindful of how I'm doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like right now, I could talk about all of it, but I'm not here drunk. I'm not here, I don't smell like marijuana when I came in. You know what I'm saying? So I have to be able to carry myself a certain way because I am actually a leader in the community. So that's something I had to be mindful of. And when Carl said that, because when I came, I'm like, I'm gonna be real, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a councilman. I'm gonna show them how to do it. I'm gonna be real. But at the same time, you gotta be mindful, bro. You gotta be mindful. I represent a diverse community, intergenerational. I got young people. I got older people.
So how do you think you've been received?
I think I've been received very well in my community, man.
So all right, so there's multiple people, right? There's like community, there's also potential like coworkers or like the industry which you're in. Like I could see why people receive you well in the community. He's like, oh, he's one of us. Like I fuck with him because like, oh shit, not only he looks like me, dresses, talks, blah blah blah, right? But yeah, so let me talk about like the different audiences, because
I think I'm received well throughout all audiences.
Really?
And I give you that because I'm received well. I could be on, you watch battle rap?
Yeah, sure.
I was gonna say you're smacking them. I gave them a proclamation. I'm in the room with Shotgun, Shook, Arsenal.
You give them a proclamation?
A proclamation because they
not you kicking off the battles. That's crazy.
They contributed a lot to the hip hop game, and last year was 50 years of hip hop, and we were celebrating people in hip hop. So if we're gonna celebrate people in hip hop, we gotta celebrate battle rap. Because battle rap is a crucial part of hip hop. When we think about battle rap, everyone think about smack. You know what I mean? We go to smack time. So I'm celebrating in those rooms where I could be around them and they could correlate. I'm able to go into schools and connect with the children.
Sure.
I'm able to sit down with them and able to give them ways that they can spend money in the district. I do something called participatory budgeting, where I'm giving students as young as 11 years old ways to vote on how to spend $1 million. You know what I'm saying? So I'm making them civically engaged. I can be received with parents. I'm a parent myself. You know what I'm saying? Our peers, the millennials, the people that are becoming parents these days, the people that are working, the adults, what we call these days in society. I can be received really well with them because I can relate to them because they see me as a dad, a parent. I do a lot of things with my dad organization, and the crowd that I receive the best and most is the senior crowd.
Did you receive the best and most?
Yeah, you receive a lot of great. I think it's a great balance because you get a lot of love in the senior crowd because my whole perception, and they love it. They love the fact that they watch me grow up. You have to understand that concept. When you watch a kid, remember, I've never lived anywhere else in my district. I've only lived in my district. I've been a part of the churches in my district, programs in my district.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you watch it. I've worked in government for the last decade, since 2008, man. I ran for office in 2020. 2021, I was in office. That's a long period of time working in the government. So you've seen a kid grow up. You've seen a kid raising his family growing up. You know what I mean? You have social media, they're able to see everything. You know what I'm saying? You see me go to school, come back, give back to my community, go back to school. They love it. You understand? Because they be like, it works. And also, you realize it works.
And also you see somebody that's like, oh shit, like, you know how people be like, oh, like, he forgot where he came from, kind of shit? They be like, oh no, he's still him.
He's still him. And it works. It shows like, hey, when you invest in our young people from a young age, it's like a seed. It's like a flower. You pour into a seed and a flower, you take care of the soil, you give it a good atmosphere to grow, it's gonna be a beautiful flower. And it works. It's showcased. And I'm pouring it right back. It's not like I'm taking it, like as you said, he ain't forget about it. We ain't get that flower and he just dipped.
Right.
He's here.
He went to grow somewhere else.
He's trying to plant more flowers. He's keeping it a buck. He ain't keeping it stingy to himself. He's keeping it a buck with us. He's letting us know what we have to do. But I'm saying, even if we have disagreements, he's keeping it a buck. He doesn't run away from it. He's in my face talking to me about it. You know how many people respect me for that?
Yeah.
I can be in your face and I can have a conversation with you. If we're going to have a disagreement, we're going to have a disagreement, fam. But guess what? I'm going to let you know.
Yeah.
And we're going to do it with respect.
Obviously.
You know what I mean?
That's interesting too. I'm just thinking about like, even if someone does hate on you or like, say some bullshit like unprofessional or whatever the fuck, it's kind of like, if it's not coming from your district, who are the people that you serve, like, does it really matter? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it really doesn't, because in this game, man.
Because those are the people that I would think that don't know you, haven't seen you grow up, haven't blah, 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 and they're just seeing you for the first time.
Yeah.
And they're just saying, public official or politician, this is him, this is what he looks like, with no context. They might have a sort of like a different perspective, but at the same time, it's like, it don't really matter, because that's not the people you're serving anyway.
Well, you're serving everyone. As a council member, you're serving everyone in New York City, but your district elects you. So they're the ones that matter. That matter. The people that elect you on a daily basis matter. Like these are the people that get you in office, so they matter. How they feel about you matters the most. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you're an elected official that serves New York City. So the way people perceive you, I'm also the co-chair of the largest caucus in City Council, which is the Black Latino Asian Caucus. So I've been the co-chair for the last 2 terms. So if my colleagues have elected me to be a co-chair, I'm actually obviously doing something right. You know what I mean? So I'm being perceived in leadership positions. I'm being perceived in the neighborhood. Yesterday, I'm driving down and taking my kids to the park. I stopped a kid from getting jumped in my hood yesterday. Literally, I mean, the kids actually took his jacket and ran off with it. But I still stopped it. You know what I mean? Young kid from getting hurt. I took the kid home and I hit him up. I'm like, yo, everything good? He's like, yo, I appreciate that, man. Like, you didn't even know me and you stopped to, you know what I mean? Because I realized when I was younger that something like that happened to me. Yeah. Like, I'm viewed in different areas in my neighborhood with, they have a valued respect for me. Like, Kev is somebody that's really giving back. And he's somebody that's a public servant. And we really, really appreciate and admire that.
Do you still get nervous? Do you get the self-doubt in your head sometimes around, like?
Yeah, I used to have imposter syndrome a lot because I'm like, yo, do I belong here? Like, even though I might have the degrees, more people are more passionate about more advocacy about certain things. I mean, I'm really passionate about things that happen in my hood.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I have young, like I just told you, I just stopped some kid getting robbed yesterday. I got young black boys, you know what I mean? Like, joining gangs, doing things the wrong way. You know what I mean? Because they don't have no guidance. I got schools in my district that aren't reading at grade level. You understand? I have failing infrastructure in my district, which is really playing into the fact that a lot of, you know, aspects in the community that aren't going the ways that people want it to go because this infrastructure is not the way that it is. You know what I mean? So I have a lot of things going on in my district where people do, like, maybe I'm not the traditional politician. I don't jump on topics. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really jump on things that I don't understand. You know what I mean? Like, and I know things are, like, really sensitive. Yeah. You know what I mean? To certain people. So I try my best to understand it and try my best to just have a balanced statement on it. I'm not the person that's going to be out there that's, you know, I'm not going to be doing things that's going to get me in the headline papers.
Yeah, okay.
You understand?
Yeah.
But I should be in the headline papers because I'm changing. Like, come on, a council member stops a young kid from getting jumped.
That's wild. I wish he was there when I got jumped.
How was that not? That's not something you want to put on the table.
That's not.
Then you could talk about what's going on with our kids.
Right,
like, why is this happening?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you know why I could be able to relate? Because that happened to me when I was younger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And somebody was able to stop that from me.
No, that's what I'm saying. Me too. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
when did you get over that imposter syndrome?
I got over the imposter syndrome when I started to listen to the positive affirmation that I was getting from people out there.
The validation.
Because the validation and you not understand, people are feeding into you every single day. Like, you might, like, me just being here, like, yo, this is dope. Like, yo, he showed up, like, he took his time out to come in, he came here with his kids and stuff like that. Like, yo, what I'm doing here is really dope. Like, he must have checked it out, he believes in it. Like, I'm doing something that's dope. That's validation. You understand? That's me understanding, like, I'm going the right way. Like, God is putting the right things in my life to happen. I had a town hall. I do a town hall every month. I call it Community Conversation. Yesterday we did it on housing, first series, where I introduced people to the New York City plan. So I had people in my community, yes, they had issues, but all of them came and said, yo, Kevin, I can't say anything negative about you and your team. I'm upset about this issue, and I appreciate the work that you're doing to address this issue. But I can't say anything negative about you and your team because you guys actually are trying to help us out. And you actually are producing. And you hearing stuff like that from people.
That's what, yeah.
I had people come
to
my town hall that weren't even from my district other than they said they came because there was a Reddit survey that was saying that I was one of the most top ranked elected officials out there.
Dope.
And I was like, where is that? She was like, I had to come see it for myself.
I had to come and see it for myself.
So when you hear validation like that, why do I have imposter syndrome? I'm where I'm supposed to be. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Who cares if I don't look like the traditional, you know, person that is in that role? I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to do.
Mi gente, that wraps up another episode of the Can't Do It podcast. If you enjoyed what you heard, please do us a favor. Like, share, comment wherever you're listening to this episode. Be sure to follow, subscribe, and leave us a rating and review if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Thank you, and see you next time.